Got a question for you. What is the most underappreciated position in football? I'll spare you the trouble. It's tight end. They are a Swiss Army knife for the offense, doing a little bit of everything, and they barely get any recognition. Now, with that in mind, who was the most slept on tight end in the SEC for 2024? I'll spare you the trouble. It was Arkansas's Luke Hasz, who wasn't able to regain that freshman success in Bobby Petrino's system, so he decided to enter the transfer portal. Just because Hasz and the Hogs didn't work out doesn't mean that he can't become a household name in the SEC for 2025. And yes, there are going to be teams that are targeting him. He stands 6'3". He has the potential to be a John Mackey Award finalist and even a first-round pick. So which team should be targeting him most? Let's go break it on down. Welcome on into SEC Unfiltered. It's Cole Thompson here. Make sure that you like the video, hit that ring notification, and subscribe to the channel because we're talking college football every single day. Download the podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcast listening systems. Follow us on the socials, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at SEC Unfiltered. Follow me at Mr. Cole Thompson. That way the back and forth banner can continue. And make sure you check out all of our great work found at secunfiltered.com. This episode is brought to you by our friends over at RHOBACK. The holiday season is right around the corner, and what better gift to give someone in your life than a RHOBACK fleece, a RHOBACK pullover, a RHOBACK hoodie, a RHOBACK pair of shorts, whatever you see fit from RHOBACK. And go to roback.com right now, use the promo code SECU, and you'll get 20% off your first purchase. 20% off your first purchase when you go to roback.com. We are the gift that keeps on giving. RHOBACK is the perfect gift this holiday season. Roback.com, promo code SECU for 20% off. Hasz is a stud. I'm just going to be completely real. At his peak, he could be potentially the best tight end in college football. He is a great route runner. He is physically enabling when it comes to winning against defensive backs, whether that be in the nickel position, whether that be at safety. He's a willing blocker, and there was a lot of expectations for him to build off of his freshman success. Remember, he was on pace for a record-setting year in the conference. 16 catches, 253 yards, 3 touchdowns, and then came the Southwest Classic against Texas A&M, and he broke his collarbone, and the season was over. The following year, they bring in Bobby Petrino, an offense that's supposed to be really high tempo and get the tight ends involved, and he just wasn't able to duplicate that success, not even remotely close. 26 catches, 324 yards. He did haul in 4 touchdown receptions, which was a team lead, but things weren't seeing eye to eye. So now he's entering the portal. There's going to be teams that should target him. He's from Bixby, Oklahoma. So I can promise you there is a team that we're going to talk about in a minute. But what are some other teams that probably should? Let's start off with one that is a wild card to me, South Carolina. You're losing Josh Simon. That was the #1 receiver for the Gamecocks in 2024. They have got to get more consistent weapons for Lenora Sellers. I love Mazeo Bennett. I love Nick Harbor. I think if they're going to bring in a wide receiver via the portal, they have some guys who are going to be taking the next step forward. They brought in a couple of guys, including Sellers' little brother from the recruiting class, but you need a tight end. You need somebody that can work the intermediate part of the field on the 8 to 14-yard routes, continuously pick up first downs, and provide value as a blocker. Go back and watch Hasz's tape. He's not the best blocker in the world, but there is enough to believe that he can be a difference maker for an offense what wants to predicate itself on the run. They're going to do that in Columbia. They're going to run the football, whether it be with Sellers, whether it be with Howell, whether it be with another running back that they bring in via the portal. They're going to be an aggressive upfront offense. And here's the thing. Mike Shula is now the new offensive coordinator. Shula worked with Cam Newton. Who was Cam Newton's favorite target when he was in Carolina? It was Greg Olsen, a tight end. So you want to have a consistent tight end that can be a forceful impact for your offense, whether it be in the red zone, whether it be just converting on third down, a security blanket of sorts. It's all about building off of this season's success going into 2025. And the same thing goes for Florida. Florida's got a quarterback that can win a Heisman Trophy in DJ Lagway. Florida has a quarterback that can win you a national championship. He proved that by getting back-to-back wins over LSU and Ole Miss. So why would you not want to give your quarterback as many weapons as possible? Bodington just entered the portal. So you got to target a tight end anyways. Why not go after arguably the best and most slept-on player in the SEC who has 2 more years of eligibility and build this foundation for Billy Napier moving forward? They got to add in weapons. I know they have Mizell. I know that they brought in a couple of young wide receivers in this last recruiting cycle, but I want experience. I want somebody who is not afraid to be that security blanket, somebody that can be an X factor on short routes and pile drive his way forward to gain those momentous plays. That is Hasz. And so if I can bring him in, I can say, hey, you want to be the reason why DJ Lagway is in New York City for a Heisman Trophy presentation? You want to be the reason why the Swamp is hosting a playoff game in December? You come here. You come play for this offense and watch what we can do. It has to be a good selling point. The same thing goes for Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a proven commodity when it comes to the transfer portal for tight ends. Daquan Wright, look at what he did this past year. Caden Prieskorn, look at what he did late down the stretch last season and what was supposed to be a big-time year for him in 2024. He was a big reason why they got the win in the Mississippi State game in the Egg Bowl. Both years. Look at the way that he played in the Peach Bowl last year against Penn State. They got to get a tight end in there. You get a good route runner to work with Austin Simmons, or potentially bring in another quarterback just to upgrade the competition in the room. You had in a little bit less pressure on a Caden Lee, and it's a proof of concept. Whenever you see guys enter the portal, they want to know that where they're going is going to benefit them. And I think a place like Ole Miss, Oxford continuously is punching out NFL talent left and right. They're bettering their odds when it comes to the personnel. How is that not enticing to you? Plus, you get to play for Lane Kiffin in an offense that loves to utilize the tight end position. It's, for me, a major selling point, and it should be, I think, for Hasz as well. LSU, here's going to be the question. They just landed Bauer Sharp, the former Oklahoma tight end. Do they still go bring in another tight end? That'll be a big deal. They're going to bring in a wide receiver. They're going to upgrade the passing attack for Garrett Nussmeier. Do they want to run a couple of 12 personnel? Do they want to get more involved with the rushing attack headlined by Caden Durham? If so, Hasz, I think, has to be on their radar as well. He's a better route runner. He has better hands. He's a better, I think, physical blocker than what you have in Bauer Sharp. So maybe you run a 2 tight end set where one is lined as an inline blocker. The other one is lined up as a flex position. It may end up working. I think it could also work at Texas. And we're going to get to the last team, and I already know who you're thinking of. Texas has got to be on the radar. Why? Gunnar Helm. Let me say no more. The most underrated player in the Texas locker room this year. Truly, for my money. Well, maybe Matthew Golden. But still, look at how he was a security blanket for 2 quarterbacks. Quinn Ewers, whenever he was still dealing with the oblique injury, and then Arch Manning, a young passer that is still trying to get his footing in college football. I think that's a recipe made for you to be successful. In fact, I would say that's probably one of the better recipes out there for you because of, you know, that it's sustainable. The tight end position has always been utilized in Sark's offenses, whether it was at Alabama, whether it was at Texas, whether it was at USC or Washington. So you want to go to a place that will emphasize the utilization of a tight end, whether it be in the red zone, whether it be on third down conversions, whether it be as a blocker, you become more well-rounded as a player. I think that when you look at a guy like Luke Hasz going to the 40 acres and seeing what this offense was in that matchup when they played against each other back in early November, that might benefit you as well. But the number one team and the team that I think ultimately does land him is Oklahoma. Oklahoma, I think, is going to be the favorites to get Luke Hasz, and for good reason. Number one, he's from Bixby, so it's already homegrown talent. He was looking at Oklahoma during the recruiting process. It was them, it was Arkansas, it was Alabama, it was Michigan, there was one other team. Number two, Ben Arbuckle's offense requires tight end play. So when you talk about the air raid, which is a little bit of a different air raid compared to other air raids that we've seen in the past, very vertical passing down the field, a little bit spread out, they utilize the tight end position. So this is a emphasizing role if Arbuckle wants to have success. They're going to have a new quarterback in the building. I don't know who that is yet. Maybe it's John Mateer. Maybe it's somebody else in the portal. Maybe it's going to be back with Michael Hawkins Jr. Who's to say at this point? But they're also going to have younger wide receivers. They lost everybody. They lost Jalil Farouk. They lost Nick Anderson. They lost Brendan Thompson. Deion Burks is there, but they got to upgrade at the wide receiver position. Get a dude that can be that guy from the get-go. Whoever is the quarterback. Hey, wherever number 9 is, you find him, you slice and dice it, you make sure the ball is in his hands, he'll do the rest of the work. If Arbuckle's offense is going to work at the same level that it did in Pullman, where it was a top 25 passing unit, it was a top 15 scoring unit, it was top 10 in total yards, they got to have a good tight end. The tight end position is essential. And in my money, when you're talking about a guy like Luke Hasz, who wants to be utilized at his best role, and also just think about the tight ends that have come through Oklahoma in years past, how does that not at least put you on paper feeling like that is a good move? It's home. You know the environment. You know the offense is going to cater mostly toward you, and you get to play in the SEC still, where maybe you're the reason why this offense turns the corner, and Oklahoma is a dark horse to go to the college football playoff. You're that guy. You're that dude, which is why I think that ultimately he does decide to turn home. But I think any one of those schools is the best option. However, the Sooners can sell the pitch that there is no place like home. Don't think y'all would like a word. Let me know in the comment section down below. Where do you think Luke Hasz lands in 2025? Does he stick around the SEC? Does he go to a new conference? Like, rate, review, subscribe. Make sure you're following us on all the social channels, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at SEC Unfiltered. Download the podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcast listening systems, and check out all of our great work found at SECUnfiltered.com. Until next time, folks, I am Cole Thompson. Just remember, transfer portal, it's college football's free agency. Bye.